There it is in all its glory. The Xbox Series X. It may be subtle, but it's a thing of beauty. Today I'm going to be talking about my experience with the Xbox Series X for the first 24 hours. It's time for a next-gen gaming talk. Hello everybody and welcome to an episode of Gaming Talk. This is the show where we talk about games, of course. My name is Chris, and today, of course, we are going to be talking about the Xbox Series X, which is one of the two brand new consoles that came out this past week actually. The other being the PS5. I don't have one of those yet, but I do have an Xbox Series X, and let me tell you, next gen is pretty impressive for the most part. So this video is going to kind of be sharing my thoughts and opinions on what I've experienced so far when it comes to next gen gaming. This includes the actual Xbox Series X hardware, how games perform, little tweaks or quirks of the system, and just my overall thoughts. So first off, let's talk about the system. And let me tell you, it's impressive. You boot up the thing in like 2 seconds. It's very, very quick, very, very responsive. I've done a couple cold reboots, one just to experiment, but other just because I had a minor technical glitch, and it booted up almost immediately. It was pretty impressive just to see how quickly it does, especially considering the Xbox One X took a very long time to boot sometimes. So for this system to boot as quickly as it does, it's quite impressive. Navigating is very quick and snappy. It's the same UI essentially as the Xbox One, but it's a lot more responsive, moves a lot quicker, and I think a lot of that is attributed to the better hardware. Now, in terms of features, the two main features that I've been utilizing the most are Quick Resume and, of course, Smart Delivery. So, Quick Resume, essentially what it does is when you are playing a game and decide you want to switch to another game, you just boot it up. If you want to go back to the game you were playing before, you just select it and it should bring you back to right around the exact same spot that you were at when you last played it. Now, I've only used this for a couple different games. Mostly it's been bouncing between a game like Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Tetris Effect. Yes, I'll talk about those in a few. But it works well. Pretty much every time I went back to Tetris Effect, it was there, it was ready to go for my next attempt at the same mission that I've attempted for many, many times and have failed, because apparently I suck at Tetris. I also tested it with Planet Coaster, and that worked really well as well. So it's a cool feature, especially if you're one of those people like me who has what I like to call gamer ADD, where you can't just stick with one game for hours and hours and hours on end. You need like a palate cleanser sometimes. This is great for that, because you can literally just say, oh, you know what? I want to play something else for a little bit. Switch games, good to go. Makes it really, really easy and simple. So Quick Resume, pretty fantastic. Smart Delivery is also another new feature. Now, essentially what this does is anytime you have a game that has an Xbox Series X/S enhancement, the game will just have a message pop up that says, hey, there's a better version of this game available. Would you like to update? You click yes, it will instantly update it to the best possible version of that game. So far, I have done that with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Forza Horizon 4, Gears 5, Gears Tactics, Maneater, Planet Coaster, Tetris Effect, and We Happy Few. I've only tested a few of those games so far, but the process for getting the better version is quick. Obviously, the actual download speed will greatly depend on your internet connection. Some of these updates take a very, very long time. They're pretty hefty. Forza Horizon took several hours to download. I think the results are kind of worth it. No, we'll get to that when I talk about the actual gameplay. The other big thing, of course, that everybody keeps talking about is the speed of the SSD. And oh boy, let me tell you, the speed of the SSD is a game changer. Even if you don't really care about the other features of the next gen consoles, the speed of load times is worth the investment by itself. There are a number of games that I've known from experience take a very long time to load, and now they load almost instantaneously. Forza Horizon, for instance, those games are big. They're loading these very graphically detailed open worlds. When I booted it up on the Series X, it loaded pretty much instantly, and it goes immediately into gameplay footage without even breaking a sweat. There's no difference there. It's seamless. Even when you look at a game like Destiny 2, which I have much experience waiting on load screens, everything loads faster. I barely spend any time in my ship in orbit before I go to whatever destination I'm going to. The initial load takes maybe a third of the time that it used to. Now, obviously, with online games, it's not going to speed up your connection to online lobbies because that's all based on the internet. But if it's an offline game or if it's just loading in general, it's going to be significantly faster. And I think it's one of those things where once you start getting used to it, you're not going to want to go back because, yeah, that's how I feel already, and I've only had this thing for a day. So let's talk about the next gen visuals. So this is one of the biggest things when it comes to next gen that people are going to be talking about. The main games that I've tried that have really shown off the power of next gen are Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Forza Horizon 4, and Tetris Effect. Now, I know Tetris Effect may seem like a weird choice. Trust me, it is not. All three of these games really do a good job of showing off the power of this next gen console. Assassin's Creed Valhalla has a ton of really impressive, graphically intensive details, from particle effects to the details on the ground, the details on the woods around you, like the fur on your character's shoulders that was like moving around. It's very, very detailed and very, very impressive. It's one of those games where, like, if you need a game that really shows off what next gen looks like, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is definitely one that does it. Another one that really does it is Forza Horizon 4. Now, I know this is an older game. It came out a couple years ago. But this next-gen enhancement takes an already fantastic-looking racing game and just brings it to the next level. Like, I was blown away in the little bit that I tried of Forza Horizon 4 just to take a look and see what the next-gen capabilities were. It's very impressive. And then Tetris Effect. Yes, it's Tetris. It's a very simple game. But the visual style of Tetris Effect, along with like different particles and lighting and everything, it really looks impressive with all the different shading and, you know, all the different lighting and capabilities of the next gen hardware. Of course, it runs in a smooth 60 frames per second. All these games did in 4K. It's impressive stuff. So, although I don't think the graphical leap is quite as big as, say, when we leap from the original Xbox era to the 360 or from the 360 to the Xbox One, I think the subtle improvements in the visuals, as well as the quicker load times and then features like smart delivery and quicker zoom, are what are really going to set this generation apart, because those are features that really couldn't work on the last gen, and now they work pretty seamlessly. I think that's the main thing, is the back-end kind of performance upgrades are what's really going to define this gen, at least until we start seeing some games that do things that just would not have been possible in last gen. Right now, it's too close. A lot of these games were originally designed for last gen and then have some extra stuff added to them. But I'm sure once we start seeing some games tailor-made for next gen, it's going to be really impressive to see. One other thing I want to talk about is the controller. So, of course, this is the new Series X controller. And the more I use it, the more I really like it. I really like the Xbox One controller. I thought last gen it was by far the best out of all the controllers, although I am a big fan of the Nintendo Switch Pro controller. This one, it's very similar. there's not a whole lot of differences, but the textures on the triggers, the textures on the bottom of the controller, the new D-pad, these are all subtle changes that just make the experience even better. It feels good in your hand. You don't feel like your hands are gonna like slip off the triggers or anything. You know, if you're in the middle of a intense Call of Duty or Destiny session and you're worried you're gonna make a mistake, it just feels good. All of it feels good. So those are just my thoughts after spending about a day with the new console. And I'm sure as things progress, I'm gonna see even more stuff. I'm gonna try some more games just to see how they are. I haven't played Gears of War 5. I actually haven't played it at all yet. So this will be my first time going into Gears 5, and I'm excited to see how it looks on next gen, being my first time playing it. And of course, I'll try some other games too. I also haven't tried Star Wars Squadrons yet, and I'm pretty excited to see that with its performance upgrades as well. So this should be a lot of fun, and we're going to continue to bring some really awesome new next-gen gaming content to you throughout the next couple weeks or so. So there should be some really good stuff showing off the power and abilities of the Xbox Series X. So there you go. That is my discussion slash thoughts on the Xbox Series X after 24 hours with the console. It's very positive. Definitely think if those things that I talked about appeal to you as a gamer, it's worth it. Now, I will tell you, one thing that I have not been able to take advantage of because my TV doesn't support it is 120 frames per second. That's really the only thing my TV can't do. It can do 4K, it can do 4K 60. Most of the performance abilities are there. It just can't do like the super high frame rate. Which, you know, eventually I do want to get a TV that can do that. But right now, I think I'm more than happy with being able to do a smooth 4K 60 and all the visual enhancements such as ray tracing and stuff. It all looks great on my TV. So eventually I'll get a better one. But for now, I'm more than content with what I've got and my awesome Series X. It's a great system. And if you can find one this holiday, I definitely recommend picking it up. It's a pretty awesome little piece. So that is going to do it for this episode of Gaming Talk as part of the Next Gen launch special. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. New videos on this channel go live every day at noon Eastern Time. So hit that subscribe button, click that notification bell. That way you know when new videos drop. And I will see you on the next episode. Bye-bye. So, is it? No, you're good. Okay, I thought the router went off or something.
No.
Okay. Gotcha. It's all good.